Stars as cool as the human body. Presented by Science at NASA. Stars are supposed to be hot stuff, but would you believe astronomers have just discovered a class of stars as cool as, well, as cool as you are? They're called white dwarfs. A NASA space telescope named WISE made the discovery. WISE is short for Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer. It's an infrared observatory whose recently concluded mission was to scan the heavens at wavelengths the human eye cannot see. WISE recently found 6 incredibly cool stars less than 40 light-years from Earth. One of these white dwarfs, WISE 1828+2650, is the record holder for stellar cool, with an estimated atmospheric temperature less than 80 degrees Fahrenheit, or 25 degrees Celsius. WISE 1828+2650 is a room temperature star. Other white dwarfs were about the same temperature as a human body. How can a star be so cool? The WISE are the chilliest members of the brown dwarf family. Brown dwarfs are sometimes referred to as failed stars. They are more massive than planets, yet not quite massive enough to fuse atoms in their cores. Brown dwarfs do not burn with the inner nuclear fires that keep stars like our Sun shining steadily for billions of years. Without fusion to keep them going, brown dwarfs cool and fade with time until what little light they do emit is at infrared wavelengths, perfect targets for a telescope like WISE. WISE scanned the entire sky for these and other objects and was able to spot their feeble light with its highly sensitive infrared vision, says William Danchey, WISE program scientist at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C. If an astronaut could visit one of these stars, they would probably find a lonely sphere of gas that looks a lot like Jupiter, only bigger. Make that a big purple Jupiter. Researchers suspect that molecules in the atmosphere of white dwarfs give the stars a purple or magenta color. No one knows for sure though, because WISE can only see these faint stars as distant pinpricks of infrared light. Future space travelers might consider visiting white dwarfs for a closer look. At a distance of less than 40 light-years, these stars are relatively nearby. Finding these objects so close to our Sun is like discovering there's a hidden house on your block that you didn't know about, says Michael Cushing, a WISE team member at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It's thrilling to me to know that we've got neighbors out there, and maybe more yet to be discovered. With WISE, we may even find a brown dwarf closer to us than the closest known star, Proxima Centauri. Now that would be pretty cool news. For more information about stars, hot and cold, visit science.nasa.gov.
The Secret Lives of Solar Flares, brought to you by Science at NASA. 152 years ago, a man in England named Richard Carrington discovered solar flares. It happened at 11:18 a.m. on the cloudless morning of Thursday, September 1st, 1859. Just as usual, on every sunny day, the 33-year-old solar astronomer was busy in his private observatory, projecting an image of the sun onto a screen and sketching what he saw. On that particular morning, he traced the outlines of an enormous group of sunspots. Suddenly, before his eyes, 2 brilliant beads of white light appeared over the sunspots. They were so bright he could barely stand to look at the screen. Carrington cried out, but by the time a witness arrived minutes later, the first solar flare anyone had ever seen was over. It would not be the last. Since then, astronomers have recorded thousands of strong flares using instruments ranging from the simplest telescopes in backyard observatories to the most complex spectrometers on advanced spacecraft. Possibly no other phenomenon in astronomy has been studied as much. After all that scrutiny, you might suppose that everything about solar flares would be known. Far from it. Last week, researchers announced that solar flares have been keeping a secret. And it's a big one. We've just learned that some flares are many times stronger than previously thought, says University of Colorado physicist Tom Woods, who led the research team. Solar flares were already the biggest explosions in the solar system, and this discovery makes them even bigger. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, launched in February 2010, revealed the secret. About 1 in 7 flares experiences a sort of aftershock. 90 minutes or so after the flare dies down, it springs to life again, producing an extra surge of extreme ultraviolet radiation. We call it the late phase flare, says Woods. The energy in the late phase can exceed the energy of the primary flare by as much as a factor of 4. The extra energy has a big effect on Earth. Extreme ultraviolet wavelengths are particularly good at heating and ionizing Earth's upper atmosphere. When our planet's atmosphere is heated by extreme UV radiation, it puffs up, accelerating the decay of low-orbiting satellites. Furthermore, the ionizing action of extreme UV can bend radio signals and disrupt the normal operation of GPS. SDO was able to make the discovery because of its unique ability to monitor the sun's extreme UV output in high resolution, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. With that kind of scrutiny, it's tough to keep a secret, even one that's 152 years old. To learn more secrets of astronomy, visit science.nasa.gov.
Did Earth have 2 moons? Presented by Science at NASA. Nothing stirs the soul of poets and lovers like the sight of a full moon rising on a warm autumn night. Nothing, that is, except the sight of 2 moons rising. If a paper published recently in the journal Nature is right, 2 moons once graced the night skies of Earth. The idea has not been proven, but it is drawing the serious attention of researchers. It's an intriguing idea, says David Smith of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and it would be a way to explain one of the great mysteries of the Earth-Moon system. The moon is strangely asymmetrical. The moon's near side, facing us, is dominated by vast, smooth seas of ancient hardened lava. The moon's far side, on the other hand, is marked by mountainous highlands. Researchers have long struggled to explain why the 2 sides of the moon are so different. And the 2-moon theory, introduced by planetary scientists Martin Jutzi and Eric Asfog of the University of California at Santa Cruz, is the latest attempt. NASA's Grail mission, launched from the Kennedy Space Center on September 10th, could help unravel the mystery. Smith is the deputy principal investigator for GRAIL, which stands for Gravity Recovery and Interior Laboratory. GRAIL consists of 2 spacecraft that will orbit the moon in tandem, precisely mapping the moon's gravitational field and thus revealing how the moon's interior is layered. Among other things, this could test the 2-moon theory. Most scientists believe that when a Mars-sized object crashed into our planet about 4.5 billion years ago, the resulting debris cloud coalesced to form the moon. Jutzi and Asfog say that the debris cloud actually formed 2 moons. A second, smaller chunk of debris landed in just the right orbit to pace the bigger moon around Earth. Normally, such moons accrete into a single body shortly after formation, explains Smith, but the new theory proposes that the second moon ended up at one of the Lagrange points in the Earth-Moon system. Lagrange points are a bit like gravitational flytraps. They can hold an object for a long time, but not necessarily forever. The second moon eventually worked its way out and collided with its bigger sister. The collision occurred at such low velocity that the impact did not form a crater. Instead, the smaller moon went splat, forming the contemporary far side highlands. In short, the lunar highlands are the lost moon's remains. When GRAIL examines the lunar far side, will it find evidence of a long-lost moon splattered across the ancient gray landscape? For answers to this and other soul-stirring questions as the GRAIL mission unfolds, please visit science.nasa.gov.
The Strange Attraction of Gale Crater, presented by Science at NASA. Curiosity is about to go to Mars. The car-sized rover, also known as the Mars Science Lab, is scheduled for launch in late November or early December 2011 from the Kennedy Space Center. After an 8-month voyage to Mars, Curiosity will land at the foot of a 3-mile-high mountain in a crater named Gale. It sounds a little odd, a mountain in the middle of an impact crater. Wouldn't the impact have smashed it flat? Some scientists believe the 96-mile-wide crater filled in with sediments over time, and relentless Martian winds carved a mountain in the center, where it now stands nearly 3 times higher than the Grand Canyon is deep. Because of its history, this strangely sculpted mountain is the ideal place for Curiosity to conduct its mission of exploration into the red planet's past. Joy Crisp, MSL Deputy Project Scientist from NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, explains, "This may be one of the thickest exposed sections of layered sedimentary rocks in the solar system. The rock record preserved in those layers holds stories that are billions of years old, stories about whether, when, and for how long Mars might have been habitable. Today, the red planet is a radiation-drenched, bitterly cold, bleak world. Enormous dust storms explode across the barren landscape and darken Martian skies for months at a time. But data from Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter suggest that Mars once hosted vast lakes and flowing rivers. Gale Crater and its mountain will tell this intriguing story," says Matthew Golombek, Mars Exploration Program landing site scientist from JPL. The layers there chronicle Mars' environmental history. In the gentle slopes around the mountain, Curiosity will prospect for organic molecules, the chemical building blocks of life. Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has found an intriguing signature of clay near the bottom of the mountain and sulfate minerals a little higher up. Both minerals are formed in the presence of water, which increases potential for life-friendly environments. All the types of aqueous minerals we've detected on Mars to date can be found in this one location, explains Golombek. Clay settles slowly in water and forms little platelets that conform around things, hardening over time and encasing them in casts. Clay could seal organics off from the outside environment, much like it preserved dinosaur bones on Earth. If organics ever existed on Mars, they could be preserved in the clay. Even on planet Earth, teeming with life, finding billion-year-old, well-preserved organics is difficult. But Curiosity will find them if they're present in the samples it takes. The rover is equipped with the most advanced suite of instruments for scientific studies ever sent to the Mars surface. When these are brought to bear on Gale Crater and its mysteriously layered mountain, who knows what discoveries will follow? For updates from the Red Planet, follow your own curiosity to science.nasa.gov.